Hi everybody, my name is Ali. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Everyone can hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, fantastic. Alice, thank you, my friend, for that beautiful introduction. It's been such an honor to that God put you in my path as well. Uh, talk about talk about meeting somebody that's boots on the ground, like somebody that just if you, I think everybody needs an Alice in their life actually, because when you need her, she's there. She'll travel across the globe to help you. That's the kind of person she is. So I appreciate you. I appreciate so I don't know, usually I pray, especially on a step talk, and I meditate, and the Spirit just puts some stuff in my heart, and pictures in my head, and then they get outline is formed, and then during the talk, everything's colored in. Today I prayed and meditated. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So it's just gonna be a bit of a free fall. I don't know how much of a rigid step 11 talk it's gonna be, but in my experience, I think the 11 step as a practice, what if it's effective, what it should eventually do for somebody is transform their heart and have them walk softly and carry a big book. Not the way I did for the first few years on fire with this thing. I think an 11 step, when it's practice, um, it should emanate kindness through somebody and love through somebody. Um, that my ideas of 11 step has have been transformed, what it is, what it should be, what it was. My rigidity has been just softened, you know? And I think as a result of that, I've deepened my relationship with this power, this loving power. This meeting started from a step 11 practice because of the step 11 practice. Um, then the pandemic hit. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit more nervous than usual. I probably won't take the 30 minutes because I want to hear Theresa speak. When the pandemic hit, the first thought that came was fear because everything shut down, right? And then the second thought that came was you need to be useful. So I got on my knees up in my son's room. I was sleeping over there because Ashley was injured at the time. And I got on my knees and I asked God to show me, God, how can I best serve? Can you please show me how I can serve? Because I know when I serve, so, my hands start trembling, when I seek to serve your kids. It's been my experience that a purposeful life is filled with a deep sense of meaning and purpose because of the desire to serve. And he put it on my heart to start a Step 11 meeting. So I called Theresa. I run everything. I used to run everything by Theresa. And she said it was a fantastic idea. And she actually came up with most of the format. And then the rest is history. And 5 years later, for the past 5 years, man, we have um, we have together gathered every Tuesday and have gathered around this humble table of ours and been dining this spiritual meal together, bit by bit, piece by piece. God's been spoon feeding me just a little bit at a time from the shares of the beautiful, powerful messengers that have been here, from the kindness that you guys show, from the way your generosity in showing up and giving us your time and allowing, because you're a generous spirit, allowing this spiritual conversation to take place with your cameras on and smiling faces and nodding. So we appreciate you. This is a step 11 meeting. It feels like God just had some work for me to do, for us to do, and He knew that I better stay really close to Him, or else I go offside really quick. It's as if like He put. I'm going to speak for myself because I'm speaking. My recovery and my relationship with Him in a pressure cooker the last 5 years. You know, what's happened for me his is as if like, okay, so I'll give you an example. Like I used to compete martial arts competitively when I was younger. And I remember one time the Korean team came from Korea, full contact Taekwondo, Olympic Taekwondo back then, right? I remember this Korean team came and we trained 1 week with them. And in that week, they kicked our butts every single day. But when they left, our level of talent and our skill just like jumped 10 levels more than the 5 years previous to this when we trained by ourselves. So that's why I feel like has happened for me here with you guys. because you guys demonstrate. So, not just by the words you say, not just by the words you say, because apparently verbal communication is like a couple of percent of actual communication, by the spirit from which it comes, what it is to walk with God, what it is to have a loving God in your life. Hmm. You keep on demonstrating for me because you're a spiritual mirror to me. I used to look out the world like it's a window, judging this and assessing that, and that's for me and that's not for me. Why are you even meditating this way? You got to go line by line through the big book only, right? Something happened to me. Something shifted in me where everything just started to, instead of looking out the window, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror. You guys have become a mirror to me, and you've demonstrated for me, and you have taught me that there is a universe of difference between living under grace and having a relationship with that which gives me grace. Universal difference. Universal difference, man. I lived under grace my entire life. From the war in Iran that we didn't die, bombs all around us, to the molestation, the addicted father's beatings, so that I lived under grace my entire life and I had no clue. And I came here and you guys told me that, oh, kid, it's not enough to live under grace. You have to try to build a relationship with that which gives you grace. Hence the step 11 practice. Hence the step 11 practice. On fire I was when I first got sober. I was just on fire. Well, it was 7 years in and out, right? For 7 years, man, I think suicide attempts and broken hearts and broken bank accounts and feeling ugly on the outside and inside. Just a shell of a man on the sidewalk of life, in and out of the rooms of AA, frustrated, bewildered. Why is it? Why is it that I can't get this thing? Why is it? And all of those beatings and all those valleys, they served a purpose because they made me humble and teachable. When you told me that, kid, you got to build a relationship with this loving power. After 7 years in and out, caught on fire, first 3 months, I'm sponsoring a bunch of people. Fast forward 2, 3 years in, sponsoring a bunch of people, coming to these rooms, professing to you guys that the relationship with God is the most important relationship in my life. No prayer practice, no meditative practice. Feeling like a fraud inside the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Being really rigid at the same time with other people. It must be this way. The big book says this. It must be this way. By the way, if you ever catch me doing that, it's because I'm afraid. It's because I'm insecure with my relationship with God. That's why I got to be pretty strict with yours and the way you work this program. If you ever catch me doing that, because I'm afraid, you know, you know, a messenger came. God has always spoon-fed me, man. Beautiful messenger came. Prayer doesn't have to be words. Prayer is just a desire in the heart to get to know him better, to be a better person. Prayer is a walk. Prayer is a way of life. What he told me is that you, he said it nicely. He asked me to consider that if I truly believe that this relationship with this loving power is the most important relationship in my life, then why am I giving this God so little time? With my quick little prayers in the morning and at night sometimes, sometimes not, right? So I woke up. From that day to this, it's been a few years now. A meditative life, a prayer life has grown around me. I'm not gonna, I'm just not moved to talk about the details of it because it doesn't matter. Everyone can read the big book and everybody has a good sponsor. That doesn't matter. As I said before, the problem with me is that when I get a little bit too rigid about methodology, it just sucks the spirit right out of it. That doesn't matter. How does it translate to your walk, Ali? It's a much more important demonstration in your occupation, homes, and affairs is important, Ali. Not how long you meditate in the morning. Not how long you meditate or the methodologies that you use. And I can't describe to you in a way that will do it justice, with words that will do justice to the experience the last few short years of my broken, fumbling, and stumbling, bent and warped walk. I can't describe to you the experience of joy, the quietness of the mind, the peace in the soul. Most times, not all the time, most times, you know, most times. And this beautiful power has dropped spiritual breadcrumbs for me to follow and get out of the bookends of the big book. Stop worshiping this big book as though it's a treasure. It's a treasure map. The treasure is a deeper relationship with this loving power. So these breadcrumbs took me out of the rigidity of the sacred big book, which I love, out of there, and be quick to see where religious people are right. I ended up in churches, in a reverend's home, doing the book of Matthew for like with his family for like 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it was. I ended up in mosques and synagogues and Eckhart Tolle and Anthony DeMello and Rumi and Hafiz, you know, universe of God, man. Universe of God. Be quick to see what religious people like. Make use of what they have to offer. And the long timers that love me, that cared for me, they continuously demonstrate for us. A lot of them are on this call. So they demonstrate for me that we don't shoot the wounded here. That nobody's better than anybody else in Alcoholics Anonymous. We walk shoulder to shoulder in this language of love, riding the waves of the love story that was started 90 years ago almost, when a stockbroker and a proctologist got together. One conversation. Yeah. And with these beautiful long timers that spoon feed me with kindness, suggested to me is that I do anything that God puts on my heart to explore a deeper relationship with Him, along with the big book, never instead of the big book. Because we have nuns and priests in AA, we have mullahs and buddhas in AA. Somehow, some way, this beautiful spiritual path, this this spiritual meal that we keep, delicious spiritual meal that we dine together, is not unique to me though. It's not unique to AA. Thousands of years, millennia, spiritual paths and religions, but this beautiful power saw fit to put it in a set of 12 steps in a way that I can digest it. And he made it that the only way I can continue to deepen a relationship with him, the only way that I can continue to experience him, I better be with you. Not for me. I can't be on a mountain meditating 8 hours at a time. I'll start thinking I am God. I'll float right out of Alcoholics Anonymous. I gotta be with you. I gotta be with you. I meditate and pray. Why? So I can get off my knees and go help the next alcoholic. That's why. I meditate and pray. Why? So God can give me the assignments that He needs for me to serve my family. That's why. Not to experience spiritual ecstasy. It may come, may not. It may come, may not. Because see, when meditation and prayer, when the step 11 practice it informs a walk of love, when it's about that, life becomes really meaningful and purposeful, man. What happens is that then I can survive the valleys in life, man. What happens is that the Rumi poem where that couple of lines where he says, being a candle is not easy. Because in order to give light, one must burn first. That becomes real in my life. Being a candle is not easy because in order to give light, one must burn first. Man, there have been valleys the last few years. We're in one right now, Afsi and I. The last year, man, it's been difficult. Commission job, especially the last 4 months. Haven't slept properly in like 18 months because of the gift we have, 18-month-old Maximus up there. Right? The difficulty financial. It's just like life squeezing us, squeezing me. And you know what? Here's the God's honest truth. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but okay. So if you squeeze lemon and put a little hole in it with a knife, what's gonna come out is lemon juice. Pomegranate juice is not gonna come out of the lemon, right? So when you squeezed me when I first came, when life squeezed me with the slightest little thing, right? What would come out of me is a judgment and the blaming and the chaos and excuse me, pus, ugliness. And through this beautiful path, and you demonstrating through me, and this loving God, and my broken seeking to build a relationship with them, all of a sudden, instead of the pus, lemon starts to come out of this. So, some delicious juice start to come out of it. However, having said that, put me in the right situation, the wrong situation, long enough, no matter how hard I'm seeking, have life squeeze me the way it has been the last little while. What'll eventually come out is deep-seated beliefs of not being good enough. I'm a loser as a father, not a real man. What is wrong with you? It's come out a couple times the last few months. It hadn't for years. See, but I'm grateful because life no longer happens to me. It happens for me. I'm grateful because I get to bring that brokenness to God too. Just like the last few years I talked about earlier, I can't describe, like words don't do justice. The joy and the peace and the quietness of the mind, all that, fantastic. That's not the message of Alcoholics Anonymous for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not the real message of alcohol for me. For me. Because if God is good only when I have the right marriage and I'm happy, and God is good when I have the right job, I can support my family, and God is good because when everybody's paying me attention, God is good. Man, that God is shallow and cheap. Man, that program is shallow and cheap. Is God good when you can't help support a family? Is God good then, Ali? When you can't get out of bed? Is God good when the depression comes and visits you? How about that time? Is God good when you and Afsi are separated? Is God good? 2 weeks ago, when I was hollering like a maniac, because self had me and I was full of fear and it had happened for years. Is God good then? How good is your God? How big is your God? I'm here to report to you very humbly that my God is so good, man, and so big. Because despite all those valleys and all the fumbling and stumbling and all the mistakes, as long as I have a desire in this broken heart to kneel before Him and just to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday, that's all I need. He takes all those cracks, makes gold out of them. He takes all those cracks and shines through them. All those valleys, they serve a purpose. Because I don't live a life to be happy all the time anymore. I live a purposeful life. My prayers, every single prayer in this big book, my opinion, my point of view, somehow is about being useful. Somehow is about being useful. And when times are tough, and I think I can't breathe. And my brain, listen, I have a deep relationship with this loving power, not compared to you, compared to what I used to have. For me, deep relationship, man. This walk is like breathing now. It's no longer assignments anymore. It's a communion with this power, my own humble way, my own broken way. And I admire lots of people on this call. I want to be like who they are. But God has me have a relationship personal to him. A little, I can get inspired by your walk, but I can't apparently duplicate it. But that's okay. You know, when the times is squeezing me and it's really dark, you know what my brain tells me? Not often, but once in a while. Really? This God thing? Are you serious? It's all bull. You're fooling yourself. And you know what I do during those times? I act as if. That's it. Act as if he exists. Doesn't matter what my brain says, doesn't matter how I feel. Act as if he exists. Program of action. What you told me is that, Ali, our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. Who cares? Existence of. For me, I'm talking about to myself, right? Who cares proving it to anybody? Who cares if I feel it or not? I act as if because you've introduced me to a program of action. Write inventories, clean house, trust God, help others. Clean house, trust God, help others. Clean house, trust God, help others. And then all of a sudden, I become conscious of his presence once again. Conscious of his presence once again. I believe only for one reason and one reason only. Has he kept me sober? One reason and one reason only. I've had the beautiful experiences in this beautiful life that I've had the last few short years to serve him and to serve his kids. One reason and one reason only. By the way, I'll finish with this. God doesn't keep me sober, eh? And God doesn't keep me happy. My relationship with God keeps me sober. My relationship with God gives me peace and joy in my life. It's a level of seeking. It's the actions that I continue to take. You can't take step 11 out by itself in a vacuum. Self-examination, prayer, and meditation in order to pass it on. In order to pass it on, I don't know what that was. It was what it was. I was free falling because Spirit didn't give me anything beforehand. I love you guys very much. I truly, truly do. Um, I'm better when I'm with you guys. Um, and and I can't. Uh, I appreciate you for the last 5 years for showing up and giving us love. There's so many faces that I love that are on here. I'm not going to start naming one by one. And just one last thing I'll say is, uh, Teresa, I have so much gratitude for you. Thank you for your walk, and thank you for everything that you've done for me and for this meeting. I can't wait to hear you, my friend.
Well, I was chill until that introduction, Calvin. I got so emotional. Oh my, thank you. Yeah, that got me. So she mentioned daddy. Oof. Ooh, it just opened up my heart. Hi everyone, my name is Theresa. I'm an alcoholic. Grateful to be here, grateful to be sober because of a loving God. Happy anniversary. 5 years. Love for the grace of God and people, the willingness to show up and our hunger to expand with our relationship with God. I'm grateful that we've had the platform available to do that. My sobriety date is March 29, 1990. I got a birthday coming up. Of course, I'll be reflecting, but there's no fronts, so I got 34 years. I haven't gotten 4 more days. We'll see what happens. Oh, thank you so much, Ali. That was so inspirational. I would always joke because Ali is just so kind. I would always say I would say if you use that word kind one more time, I'm a bit rough, you know what I mean? And he's just so soft and gentle. So we're like oil and vinegar sometimes, salt and pepper. But yet we have the same baseline, right? Which is this passion and enthusiasm for recovery and a relationship with this power and being of service. So it's been an honor to be a part of this the last 5 years. And yes, he would come out of his meditation inspired. And then I go into meditation with the details. I'm good at the little details of how to put things together. And without all of you, we wouldn't be here. So much was coming to me as well when Ali was sharing that my excitement about this meeting was an opportunity to hear the multifaceted dynamics of people's personal relationship with this power that's in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that I get to come in with an open mind to take what applies and put the rest on the shelf. An opportunity to try something different that perhaps I didn't try before. And here's the step where we get to step outside the box of even our book, right? I enjoy this step so much because everyone that comes, sometimes there's a hesitation to share about other material and religious practices. And I'm like, here's the step where we can talk about that because it invites us to read inspirational books, to read other books, and to talk to religious people so we can get ideas on how to expand our own practice. I think about step two. Step two was the beginning of this journey. Step two invited me to have an open mind. That is it possible, Theresa, that you don't have all the answers? Is it possible? I think about Ebby saying to Bill, you don't have to take it all at once, but can you just consider to find a conception of your own? That just in that conversation alone, when Ebby mentioned that he found God, it set Bill on this journey of all of his biases and the innocence of his relationship with that power and began to explore what was all that about for him, which then led him to say, if there is a God, show yourself to me. And that's what we get to do in these rooms. We hear one another. I to believe that sanity must return because I'm an alcoholic, man. I am so powerless over this illness. I can't do anything about it. So I go on this journey with seeking a power that can restore me to sanity, that can remove my alcoholism. It's the treatment. Alcoholics Anonymous, for me, in building this relationship with this power, it's interesting. It's beyond an understanding of God. And the reason for that is I've had a relationship with the world of spirit. That was my safe place. And alcohol was my higher power in the world of Earth, planet Earth, the physical world. And so I lived before I came to AA in these two worlds. Alcohol helped me to survive the physical world. And I knew how to leave this world and go into this place where this God is infinite, immaculate. There is peace, there is love, there is harmony, there is serenity. It's iridescent. There's ancestors, there are angels, there are guardians. And I never knew that these worlds can live together. These steps introduced me to how to have a relationship with people. I was telling someone the other day, if I had an opportunity to sit with God, what question would I ask? What question would I ask God if I just had one question that I can ask God? What would it be? And I was like, I would ask God, do you regret making man? Oh, that sounds crazy, all, but do you do you sit back and go, I should have just stayed with the plants and the animals? You know what I'm saying? And the water. Because it seemed since the beginning of time, the moment he made man and woman, it has been, whoo. I joke with my sponsees about there are times where I say I want the Old Testament God, when I want revenge against those who transgression against me. Just burn them into a pillar of salt. Why don't you? Can you make a flood? Can we work with that one? And then when it comes to me and the things that I do, I want the New Testament God that forgives us for all of our sins. I'm fascinated with the fact that we have priests and nuns and monks and all types of people who come into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, because really the issue is about this illness. It's a fascinating, it's an insidious disease that gives me the delusion that I'm in charge, that gives me this illusion that I'm running things and I'm in control, and none of that is happening. And God is there all the time. God is everything, everywhere. Ego is huge. I know this is an ego smashing process, but I cannot get rid of ego altogether, because ego allows me to thrive, to compete, to get up, to get dressed, to have dreams. I'm made that way. My will is a God-given gift. That's what separates me from other species. And these steps is about this dismantling of this illusion and to realign my will. This power is just waiting. I always say the best description of that is parents. I'm an aunt. I know my nephews, when they're children, they need me for everything, right? They needed me to eat, to dress, to go to sleep, to burp, to there's this reliance that they had upon me. And I want everything for them. And then they get to an age where they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, I'm not talking to you anymore. And I just imagine that being God. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the creator of the heaven, the earth, the Alpha, the Omega, right? He made all of us. And there's this innocence and this eagerness of perhaps dependence. But there's some point in our life where we reject the idea and say, I want nothing to do with you. And I know that even when the boys have done that, I still love them. And I cannot wait for the moment that they reach out and say, help me. To this day now, they're 26 and 22. Man, I could be in a meeting, I could be talking to somebody, let one of those boys call me, I'd be like, hold up. Here's a window. Everybody stop. They actually want me for a second. They actually need my advice, and everything that I give them, I hope and I pray that they take heed. And so this program for me is about developing a relationship with people, the relationship with myself. It reminds me, I was at seminary actually for 5 years. My brother was at seminary, but he was sick with cancer. And so I would have to take him to classes. And so I was an honorary student at seminary for 5 years, and sat in the classes, and the librarian did help him with his homework. And one of the things that stood out to me that I remember the pastor said, and it reminded me of Alcoholics Anonymous and something that it's important for me to work towards. He said most other religions are always trying to, or people are trying to prove their love to God, or they're trying to gain the love of God. What we believe is that that's already given. Our job is to love God's children. These steps help me to dismantle and to remove everything and anything that blocks me from loving God's children. And how do I do that? How do I have this communication? This is a collaboration. This is a partnership. This is an invitation to go into this partnership with this power to walk hand in hand in order to get some guidance and some directives. It's like this internal GPS. Sometimes I ask folks, okay, so you explain to me how you meditate and the things that you do in the morning or in the afternoon, in the evening. How do you receive an answer? How do you get a response? That's part of developing an understanding of God in my life, is how does God even talk to me? How do I hear the answer? It says the answers will come if your house is in order. How does the answer come? I remember used to hear meditation is prayers talking to God, and meditation is listening. Well, when I'm listening, how do I know I'm hearing? The practice of not only 11 step, but all the steps is so that I can intuitively hear. So it becomes familiar. Go right, go left, talk to them, say this, say that, don't say this. I know it sounds methodical. It's not like I'm a robot or, you know what I mean, a puppet, but in order to intuitively just be lined up, boy, where I'm just moving, I'm a moving meditation. Daddy used to tell me that. Daddy used to say, it's great that you can sit down and meditate for a half hour, but what happens when you get up from there? That I need to be able to walk through life in that state of meditation. I've done a lot of things. I've done vision quests. I've set out in the wilderness with just a tarp waiting for a vision to appear in silence. I can go into silence for 15 days, 20 days. So just saying that there was a time, the great mystics, what you want to do or you want to grow religious and spiritually is that you leave all your worldly possessions and you go into the Himalayas or you go into the convents or, you know what I mean? You go away from the people. Oh, I'm real spiritual in the mountains. When ain't nobody around. Me and God are good, man. When I've got no disturbance. But what happens when I come down from the mountain? I mean, Moses himself came down. He was chilling up there for like 40 days and came down and was pissed. You know what I'm saying? He was having a spiritual experience, homeboy, hanging out with the burning bush, you know what I mean? Writing down laws and stuff. I just cannot imagine. I just love all those visuals. You know what I'm saying? Moses was like, yes, I'm coming down with the oneness of God. And everybody was doing crazy stuff and he's breaking things and slamming. Yo, what happened up in the mountain? Man, pissed them off. That's my experience. So I take these steps and I clean house. It's important to do 10 in order to step into 11. Because I don't know about you, but if I don't do any inventorying and I will go into a conversation, I call my staff meetings with God, I'm not doing a whole lot of listening. I'm over there going to God, talking to the Old Testament one, talking about how to jack you all up. I'm having like I'm thinking I'm in meditation, but I'm having a trial. It turned into a paramason sitcom, boy. I'm the prosecutor, I'm the judge, the jury, the defense attorney. I got my files. Oh my goodness. I have this whole case and I present both sides. I go sequester. I come back with the verdict. I'm the judge. I give you the sentence. I go serve the time, or you serve the time, and then I come out of serving the time. You come out serving the time, and then I start the trial all over again. Miguel Ruiz, in the Four Agreements, talked about that's called injustice. It's an injustice. It's double jeopardy. But I do it all the time. Building this relationship with this power helps me to understand that we're all broken. That it's okay to make mistakes, to learn, to go backwards, then forwards. It gives me an opportunity to be in present moment, in present time. I refer to my dad a lot because he was my spiritual teacher. I've sat at my father's seat. And I would try to implement not only his teaching, but any of my spiritual teachers put into practice what they showed me. I wouldn't even pick up a spiritual book. I was taught not to pick up a spiritual book if I'm actually going to practice what's in it. I think that's why when I picked up the big book, I did what was in it, because I was taught if you're going to, that's not, what do you call it? Bedside reading. It is a textbook and it's meant to be practiced. I have prayers that I can call on. There's like 100 and something names of God. It is a symbol that is the vortex of opening up the heavens. But I have to be mindful that I'm opening up the gate of this conversation, calling upon God. Now, how do I speak the rest of the day? How do I talk to you? I mean, there's so many things. I think in step 2, it talks about before we were in emotionalism. Was I really practicing a spiritual practice? I've gotten into spiritual madness. If anybody ever heard that, spiritual madness is when I'm in this place of utopia, of just being one with God. And then I come back to you and I'm depressed. I'm depressed. The big book refers to as like, I'm talking about the sins of the nation. Do you know what I mean? That's part of my alcoholism. Look at the state of affairs in this world. And I become self-righteous and judgmental and critical, but yet say I'm in complete alignment with this power. How do we love the unlovable? I'm in the role that God assigns. How do I know that assignment? And then when I'm in it, the ego tells me, I don't want to play this role. I want to create my own play. I think Sandy Beach talked about that. I love one of his talks talking about the janitor, right? The God assigns me a role to be a janitor. And then now all of a sudden I'm like, I don't like this. You guys have different roles. I want Oprah's role. Or I'm going to be this kind of janitor and I'm going to set this whole stage. All ego stuff, man. I remember I was in a state of spiritual madness. Been there a couple times. Just depressed being here. And Kim came home with a cassette tape from Carolyn Mays. I love Carolyn Mays. She's a great, talks about mysticism. And she gives me this cassette with Carolyn Mays, and it's called Spiritual Madness. And there was one thing she said in there, aside from so many nuggets, but this one thing that woke me up. She said, if you were meant to be a spirit, you would be. You're a human being. Get over it. And you know what I mean? I snapped out of it. I was like, what? If you were meant to be a spirit, you would be. You're a human being. Focus. I'm here to have a human experience. Oh, okay. Man, I love this stuff of spiritual development. I can get so caught up again. I get lost on what it is just to be human, man. Just to be human, to be present. I tell people I'm a priest by trade. I have so many obligations and rules and laws. And I remember telling Daddy, I think I smoke and curse just so I can remember that I'm human. You know what I'm saying? Because Just so I can remember that I'm a human being because I'm always like floating everywhere. My trials and tribulations and inventory is the world itself and the suffering of the people. Got to get right sized with that. Okay, God, what are we doing? Uh, this step 11 is so I can learn how to be present. I know a lot of people go into meditation wanting to go into a state of nirvana. I'm like, that takes a long time to go into complete state of nothingness. That's the one thing I hear people struggle is I sit down into meditation and I'm thinking too much. And I'm like, that's deep thought. Like, just let your thoughts go. It becomes one note and one noise, but we got to get to practice of just, you know what I mean? You just let that be, just let that be. And as a result of sitting there and letting that be, what happens is I learn to be. And now I start navigating through life in that state of meditation. I'm a student. Somebody got to watch I didn't start timing. I'm a student. Um, I graduate in May. Actually is on my brother's birthday, the 18th. It's also the Woodstock West. I think it's that Sunday. So that morning, I think I'm doing 12 and have graduation at 7 that same day. But in these years I've been in school, it's extracurriculum activity. It's exciting for me. I love learning. Alcoholics Anonymous definitely taught me how to have an open mind in so many areas. And I just love learning. It's a me thing. Everybody's always saying, Theresa, I'm a caregiver. I take care of people and Mother Teresa, they joke, I'm always taking care of everybody in the world. And everyone tends to say to me, you got to do self-care. You got to learn how to take care of yourself. You got to set boundaries. And I'm like, then you're under the impression that I'm running on self-will. Hmm. Or comparing, I don't know, your level of tolerance than mine. This is the role that God has assigned me. And if God assigns me this role to be a caregiver, then God gives me the strength, the courage, the determination, the resilience. I've said it many times. Okay, God, you be my back, my arms, my legs. I was talking to Alice earlier. I was just in the hospital. I still got this broken heart thing, and I have to watch out. I have these heart attacks that just pop up all of a sudden. So I was in the ER, and the doctor's like, I think I need to keep you to run some more tests. And I'm like, no, I'm Humpty Dumpty. You need to put me back together again. Where's all the king horses and all the king's men? I've got a kingdom. I got people at home that can't feed themselves. You're my team. That's self-care. I have team of doctors that come together and put me back together again. Oh my Lord. But I love learning and I have religious studies. I'm also now doing a double major. The department the head of the Department of Religious Studies contacted me and says, I wouldn't invite anybody else to do this, Theresa, but I think it'll be great if you just get a double major and do a major in religious studies. Would you be willing to do one more semester? And I was like, only if it's fun. And I love religious studies because it's not about religion. It's about our culture and our society and historically how history, the role that religion has played in our society. I love the fact that I have death and dying in one of my subjects and religion itself and globally and researching civic engagement. I just love all of that. And just looking at the multifaceted dynamics of this God idea, religious doctrine. Religious studies is not theology. I remember going in there, and it's something that we talk about in A. I remember going in there years ago when I first started a religious class, and they said, what is religion? I'm like, a group of people who decide what God is. Wrong. We do everything religiously. Baseball is religion. Football is religion. I love people come to AA and go, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm a recovering Catholic or something, or I don't do this religious thing. And I'm like, you don't? Well, the last time I heard, you go to Sunday morning at 9:30 big book study religiously, no matter what's going on in your life. That's where you at Sunday morning. I don't know, but I could have sworn that I heard things like according to Bill W, according to page so and so of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it states da 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 da. Our book says da da da. I'm like, that sounds a little bit like what be happening over there at the Roman Catholic Church on Sundays. I'm just saying. I just heard that the last time I went to somebody that Baptist church. Thank you. Thank you. And so I do AA religiously, right? I do my practices religiously, rituals and things that I dedicate myself to, the things that I believe. And what I love about this whole process is that it's forever changing. That's why this meeting is awesome. How many people walked away with doing a two-step prayer after hearing Polly Pistol talk about it? Or what was it? Kathy talked about it. I mean, so people, and then people are like, oh my God, I'm doing that two-way prayer. Or listening to music or listening to the sounds of the ocean. This is all about our process of just seeking, man. It's in the seeking. I never arrive. The day I arrive is the day I'm going to be 6 feet under. I remember getting nervous with daddy when daddy's always talked to me about nothingness, nothingness, non-is it, total detachment, the nothingness. And he was in a place where there was complete nothingness. And I said, does that mean you leaving? Because you leaving the planet when you're in a complete place of nothingness. I have attachments to relationships, attachments to things that I want, my clothes, and that keeps me here. So my journey through these 12 steps, in particular, step 11, I call it a staff meeting with God because he is my employer, my director. I go into my staff meeting and have my little powwows, and I can pop in and out through the day and be like, knock, knock, can I talk to you for a second? You know how we doing at work, like, can I talk to you for a minute? But it's been about having a relationship with others. I know that God has always been there. That in step 10, we enter the world of spirit. The miracle is that the drinking problem is now removed. We're in a place of neutrality, safe and protected, no longer swearing off forever. We have intuitive thought and inspiration. And we're just starting out doing this. So they tell me to pass it by somebody. There are times I call my sponsor, love my sponsor. I call him and say, can you let me know if this was a burning bush or not? Because there are times I swore I was talking to a burning bush and found out that there was no burning bush. That was some other stuff I came up with. I'm grateful that I don't have to be fixed, that we can always expand and grow and change. That's why I joke and say, sometimes I'll tell my sponsors, remember what I told you last week? That was deep, right? I know. It no longer applies. I know it's deep, right? It sounded real deep. Yeah. I found out I didn't really know what I was talking about, but I thought I did at the time. Say this before ending. I think the more spiritual that I continue to grow in and as, the more down to earth I become. The more down to earth, things become far more simpler. Laughter becomes the key. I think that's why I always love Sandy Beach, boy. I miss him. I was listening to him the other day because he was always so down to earth. He was just made it so simple. But he has some deep stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you listen, you be like, whoa. But it was just said in a way, he was funny. And to me, that's spirituality. It's like, I love Sister B. We've had Sister B here. And I just love when she said, could you imagine telling a nun to do step 3? She was like, hello, do you see where I live? You know what I mean? You notice my outfit? Did you see the ring? Make a decision to turn my will and my over to God. Like, what you talking about? I love that. I love that. I love it. I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. After 5 years of sobriety, I went into silence and fasting for 5 days and came out and said, yes, God, take all of me, good and bad. Went back to my tradition, 4 generations, the only one left, continuing our tradition. And I went back to be a priest. And I have a list. I got 4 books that tells me what to wear, where to go, what to do, what to eat. My life is not my own. I married God so that I could be of service to God's children. And today I'm learning not to apologize with that relationship, because there is times I look at how other people live and I get jealous. And I listen to other people tell me that my relationship with God, something ain't right about it, because it appears as though I'm suffering, but I'm not. So these 12 steps help me to fulfill that assignment as a priest in my life. That's why my dad said that everything that's in this library is in this one book, and with this, you're going to be all right, kid. So I thank Alcoholics Anonymous so much for bringing me to this place where I needed to go. I don't regret anything of the 24 years before I got to you, because it's been useful for me today. But I'm so grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous for giving me the tools to be able to bring these worlds together in the present moment, right here, right now, and know that all is well with God, with you, with me. So the love that we have of God is given. Our job is just to love God's children, and I'll keep using these steps to allow me to successfully pull that off. Thank you so much, everybody. Yay, 5 years. I love each and every one of you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.